we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I am a finance professor, as you guys might know. I wanted to jump into the Black Financial Channel right now and give you some updates on the stimulus package. A lot of you have been asking me about the CARES Act and the HEROES Act and the HEALS Act and what the next steps are going to be. And so I thought that I would give you a quick update on this. Do me a favor, if you could, before we start talking about the stimulus package and everything else, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe to theblackfinancialchannel.com. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. And don't forget that the weekend of August 7th, we're doing the Black Stock Market Weekend, where I'm going to break down my 11-step methodology for selecting stocks for your portfolio. If you'd like to join us, go to blackstockmarketweekend.com. That's blackstockmarketweekend.com. So here's the deal. So basically, you had the CARES Act the first time around. The CARES Act was, where you got the $1,200 stimulus checks. They sent out the PPP loans. They kind of had to rush a lot of money out really fast to try to help as many people as possible. They did some things well, some things didn't go so well, and now you have the pandemic part 2, where still, schools haven't. There's a lot of schools are not going to be open, which will cut down the ability of people to actually, the ability to show up to work, even if you want to go to work. If you don't have, a place to send your kids, then you're going to probably have to stay home or want to stay home. And so you have 2 versions right now going through Congress. The House passed the HEROES Act, which is about $3 trillion. The Republicans that run the Senate push forward something called the HEALS Act, which is about $1 trillion. So $3 trillion and $1 trillion, that's a big gap. They've got to close the gap in order to get the stimulus package passed. Here are the areas where they agree and some areas where they disagree. Number 1, they both seem to agree that there should be a check sent out to everybody. They're talking about $1,200 for the check. So the check would be about the same for everybody, plus I think $500 for every dependent. I think the major point of contention is who should get the check. I know that Republican Mitch McConnell actually pushed to have the check only sent to people that make less than $40,000 a year, which, to be frank with you, I think that's kind of crazy. And the Democrats, they're equally crazy, I think. They kind of want to just give everybody a ton of money forever, no matter who they are, and I think that's too much either, because money doesn't grow on trees. I'm the guy that's in the middle. I like to think that makes me a centrist or a pragmatist or something, but maybe that makes me a bad person. I don't know, but I personally think that we're gonna pay a huge price long term for the great debasement of the dollar. When you're printing that much money and just sending money out and going that deep in debt, you're devaluing the dollar, which is going to cause a lot of other economic issues, but we'll talk about that later. Also, there's going to be more PPP loans for businesses that are out there. 2 things that should be adjusted with the PPP loan, in my opinion, as a financial guy, is 1, stop propping up zombie businesses. There are some companies that are doing better during the pandemic than they were doing before the pandemic. The stimulus packages actually propped them up. They were literally left for dead, about to go into bankruptcy, and then the pandemic was the best thing that ever happened to them, because they were able to get access to financing that no bank in their right mind would ever give them. So basically, you have this crazy situation where all these companies are being propped up. They shouldn't even be alive. These companies should have been dead a long time ago. That's an issue. The number 2 issue that I have, because I have bones to pick sometimes, and I gotta let it out, is when this money comes to these companies, either in loans or grants or whatever, they're supposed to use this money to stimulate the economy. They're supposed to put this money back into the economy, but there has to be some sort of regulation on what they do with this money. So what happened the first time around was that you had a lot of businesses get the money that didn't even need it. And a lot of businesses didn't do the right thing with the money. They didn't actually take the money and go and hire people. They took the money and they put it in their bank account and said, okay, let's still lay everybody off. Because, think about this. I mean, why would you hire employees if there's nothing for them to do, if there are no customers, right? So you need supply and demand side economics for things to actually work out. But then, maybe you should tell these companies, look, you can't borrow the money if you're not going to use it. We'd rather take this money and put it in the hands of consumers that are going to put that money back into the economy. At the end of the day, what makes the economy go is when people are putting the money into the economy. So if I give the money to a bank and the bank doesn't make loans, they're not doing their job. If I give the money to a business and the business doesn't hire anybody or make any infrastructure investments, then they're not doing their job. If I give the money to consumers and the consumers don't spend, they're not doing their job. Well, who's going to spend the most? It's the person who's got to pay the rent, the utilities, the mortgage, the car note, right? Baby need a new pair of shoes. Those are the people that are going to put the money back into the economy. So those should be the people at the top of the priority list. Unfortunately, that just isn't the way America works. And that's just something you got to know. It's just a fact. Next, they're talking about doing the federal supplement to the unemployment payment, which I totally agree with. I think that's what we need to do. Before, it was $600. That was gigantic. That was fat. That was so big that people were happy to be home. They were getting more money staying home than they were making on their job. Well, the Republicans are stepping forward and saying we shouldn't do that. So they want to cap that amount. They talk about tiny amounts like $100 or $200 supplements. This is in addition to whatever your state pays. Some states don't pay anything. Some states pay well. They wanted to supplement this with a federal supplement. They're talking about $100, $200 a week. But actually, what's more realistic is probably something that's based on how much money you made on your job. So it might be 70, 75% of whatever you made on your job. That would be your unemployment, which I don't know if that's reasonable to you or not, but it is what it is. But then they've also discussed something that I really hope that they pass, which is a back to work incentive. Now this isn't in either one of the packages. I don't think this is in the HEROES Act or the HEALS Act. But there have been senators that have actually pushed forward this idea of giving people an incentive to go back to work. Why not give them an extra $450 a week to go back to work so that they can work and they're getting money. They can take care of their family. They're putting the money back into the economy so the economy gets pumped up and propped up. I think that's great. Now, this obviously brings into the ethical dilemma that some people have of whether or not you should even encourage anybody to go to work, even allow them to go to work, or definitely force them to go to work, in the middle of the pandemic. Well, here's the way I look at it, right? You got three levels, right? You got the level where there are some people who say you shouldn't even allow people to go to work because they're all going to die, right? Then you got people that say you shouldn't incentivize people to work because you're going to kill them. You're committing murder. And then you got the people that say you shouldn't force people to go to work because you're putting them at risk. I'm in the category of saying you shouldn't force people to go to work. I think that right now fear is at an all-time high. There's a lot of stress out there. Maybe some people just don't want to handle it. They got MSNBC or on repeat, and it's scaring the hell out of them. Even though, again, I did the math, 150,000 people have died, which is very, very sad. But that's actually less than 0.05% of the population. So just so you know, in case you want data, in case you want information, you have a 99.95% chance, 99.95% chance of not dying from the virus, right? Doesn't mean it's not real, just want to make sure you have those facts. But for some people, that's still too much. And so maybe there are those who say, you shouldn't force people to go to work. And that's the world we live in. I think you got to compromise. But I think the idea of not allowing people to go to work, forcing the schools to be shut down, or not incentivizing people to go to work, I think that might be a bit much because I think there are some people who are ready to go back. There's some people who say, look, I'll put on my mask, I'll socially distance, I'll wash my hands whenever I can. I just want to go back to work, and I'll take that risk, that there's only a 99.95% chance that I'm going to survive, and that's just what it is. Also, they've talked about a tax credit for employers to hire workers and keep them employed. I think that's great. Tax credits are good. Why not incentivize businesses to hire people? As long as they're doing the right thing with the money. That's what I'm really big on. I don't like all the waste. I think it's kind of ridiculous. I think both parties are going to use this situation to pursue some other agenda that has nothing to do with the pandemic. So I think the number one rule should be, here's some rules I would implement if I were king of the earth. Number one, anybody who gets money in the pandemic has to use the money to resolve issues that are related to the pandemic. Two, any politician who pushes an agenda during the pandemic must be pushing a pandemic-related agenda. So if you want to push forward a stimulus package, it better be related to what's happening right now. Number three, the same way most American people are losing their jobs due to the pandemic, Congress should lose their job, in the pandemic. They should be allowed to still go to Congress and do their work, maybe get paid hourly or something. But last time I checked, members of Congress get paid $174,000 a year. So here's the reality. They're not facing the economic pain of the people over whom they are legislating. They don't know what it's like to go 4 weeks without a paycheck because they get their paycheck every week. They don't know what it's like to live off $400, $500, $600, $700 a week because they're making thousands of dollars a week. So I personally think that members of Congress should be made to feel the pain. Maybe that might get them to hurry up. Maybe that might get them to think a little more carefully. Maybe that might get them to be a little more ethical. But that's my 2 cents. Maybe I'm a bastard for saying it, but I'm going to say it anyway. So anyway, I got to go, guys. Have a good day. Make sure you subscribe, theblackfinancialchannel.com. Also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, you can go to allblackeconomics.com. If you want to join us for the Black Stock Market Weekend, you can go to blackstockmarketweekend.com. That's blackstockmarketweekend.com. It's the weekend of August 7th. It's virtual. You can watch it from home. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV.